and welcome to episode 3 of Powering Real Estate. I am your co host, Chris McDonough, and I am here with Lee Adkins, your host. Hi, Lee.
Hello.
We are so excited to share with you today. We're going to be talking about how to make a CRM handbook for your team, and we can't wait to share it with you.
Welcome to Powering Real Estate. Join me, Lee Adkins, and Chris McDonough as we explore what it takes to run a great real estate business and how to have a solid strategy, great tactics, and a great plan for your real estate company.
All right. Powering Real Estate, episode 3. Man, how to make a CRM handbook for your team. I'm so excited to talk about this. My name's Chris McDonough, and I'm the COO of Amplified Solutions. And I came to Amplified Solutions through a interesting background in real estate. I started out as an agent on a team, a top producing agent. And then I managed the ISA team on that team. And then I became broker in charge. And during my tenure there, we grew the brokerage from about 50 agents to 225 across 2 states. And then I moved on to share my experience and the things that I learned with teams all across North America with the amazing Lee Adkins, who started Amplified Solutions. Lee, welcome to episode 3.
Thanks. I'm excited. I'm glad we're digging in this season. I think this will be a good episode for people. And also, we'll get into this, but obviously, we're gonna, as usual, share links to resources and things that where people can learn more, or dig in more, or make their own CRM handbook. And a quick background on me: I've done all the real estate things: solo agent, team member, operations on a team, brokerage partner. Just really, love all the different aspects of real estate, but also, feel really comfortable in this lane of helping advise people to, set up their systems and strategy. That's kind of our thing. So super happy to be with you, Chris, and dive in.
Absolutely. We are always education first at Amplified Solutions, but the very last minute or so of our webinar, I'm going to share with you a little bit about what we do and how we help teams accomplish their goals. So hang on for 1 minute at the end, and we will talk about us for a second.
Awesome. So, Chris, why would somebody need a CRM handbook? Like, we all know agents they're not big readers. They don't love, hey, here's a 100-page manual. Go home and read it.
Well, we are not advising you to create a 100-page manual. So I'm glad we got that out of the way first. But you need a CRM handbook because whatever system you're using, you want everyone to use it in the same way. And whenever there aren't clear definitions and directives on when a lead comes in, you do this. When X happens, you need to do Y. Whenever there isn't clear directives on what should be done, people use their own experience. And if your experience is anything like mine, Lee, when you're hiring real estate agents, there's not a Harvard of real estate agents that you go to collect them from. So people have, varied backgrounds from, wow, this person's so professional, I can't believe they aren't running their own team, to where did we find these people? Long John Silver's? Like it runs the whole spectrum of talent. And to combat that, and don't hear me wrong, even if you're from Long John Silver's or Harvard for real estate, you can become a fantastic real estate agent and serve clients well so long as you have the right leadership. And part of your leadership is getting everyone to use these tools in the same way. And there's no bigger, better tool for your real estate team than a CRM. So staying organized and efficient is crucial to your success. And having a CRM in and itself is helpful. But if you don't have systems and really consistent ways for you to use your CRM, it's going to lead to chaos. So, creating this handbook, and we're going to get into the details here, but having definitions, having cheat sheets and guides. When this happens, do this. Here are your options. Here's what you can and cannot do. That gets everyone on the same playing field. It gives them a resource so that they aren't coming to you with as many gotta minutes. And it really gets everyone operating, rowing the boat in the same direction.
Yeah, this was something that, when I was running our team, very quickly realized we needed. And frankly, I think even the one that we have today, the template we'll share with everybody, is probably the one that I started many years ago. But yeah, the idea of kind of what you said, just to reiterate a bit of it, Chris, like, what are the stage definitions? What are the expectations when a new lead comes in? What automated things happen within your system that they may need to know about? Like if they put them in a nurture stage, are they going to automatically get a campaign? Are they going to automatically get added to something? How do you put people in a newsletter? Like all really important things that everybody at the company needs to understand, because they're going to affect how they work and what they choose, and all that. But having a simple written guide, and I know we jokingly earlier talked about the number of pages. I mean, we gunned for like 7 to 8 pages, maybe with some screenshots. Um, but just having that, and it also just allows everyone to understand the policies and procedures around the system. And I want to lean into also what you said, Chris. I think all too often when there isn't something like this, it just becomes a constant phone calls and texts about, hey, what do I do again? Hey, how's that? Hey, what's the definition for hot again? And so if you can provide these in an on-demand way, it really helps you not just be the constant keeper of all the secrets. So that documentation is really important. Now, like I said, we're going to share a link to this because this is both a video and an audio podcast. We're going to talk about it, but we're going to share a link to an actual template, that you can use to get a head start, creating your own. But it also ensures that across the organization, people are doing the same thing, right? Whether they're a new hire or their staff, or they're an agent that's been with you for 10 years. We want to ensure that people are doing the same thing, and managing the database in the same way. That's part of what makes it valuable. If you saw one of our last episodes, we talked about the fact that having a bunch of names is sort of valuable. Having them categorized and organized is incredibly valuable. So this is going to help you do that, and it's going to help you do that at scale as you grow.
I couldn't agree more. And I having part of what we do is to help people understand that they have a Ferrari in their garage. And if you don't know all the things that your Ferrari does, you're not going to use them. And that's part of the confidence that your agents will get by having this document. It alleviates those gotta minutes. You have to train them, by the way. It doesn't just happen overnight. You can't create this document and all the gotta minutes stop. You have to actively train your team to refer to your CRM guide, your handbook, whatever you want to name it, first. So there's going to be some initial training involved where you need to redirect people, and it might be awkward for you to go, hey, Lee, did you check the handbook before you asked that? And okay. But rest assured, the next time they will check the handbook first. So you do need to train people on where to find it, and it needs to be easy to find. But having this will help you to streamline all of your operations, because if your CRM is the hub of the wheel of your business, it's going to keep everything in that one CRM. Everyone will be communicating on the back end through your CRM, and that's going to reduce your risk of errors, missed opportunities. It's going to help you find more business. And by giving everyone the gift of alignment, they're going to have the confidence to work independently, excel in their roles, but have not only confidence in themselves, but confidence in the CRM and the systems. Because in my experience, when agents don't have confidence in the CRM, they just don't use it. They'll go to a spreadsheet. They'll keep it in a notebook on the floor of their car. They'll write it on Post-it notes. And that's not an effective, successful way to run a business for the agent or for the broker owner. So it really has far-reaching effects for a document that's relatively simple. It also helps them to have a reference point for troubleshooting. So if there's a problem, there's a place to go and find a possible solution. And I talked some already about confidence, but the confidence that they will have will allow them to experiment a little bit. They won't be scared to click buttons and try new things. And that's going to accomplish a few things for your team. It's going to help you foster an environment of continuous learning, which we could do a whole nother session on that. And it also allows them to be confident in innovating. So if I'm not afraid to try this automation or try this new email template or text template or whatever, I'm going to try something new and something's going to work. And I'm going to share that with the team. And then you'll have these new tools that are like, hey, Chris did this and it worked. She's going to share, and then we all benefit from it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so important. And I love that you said it that way. I think that really is key to kind of take some of that fear around, well, I don't know what to do, or I don't know what this thing means or what that thing means. That's really, really important. So, but at a high level, how do you create this? Well, if you're a nerd like me, you start with a blank piece of paper and you just start typing. But most people won't do that. So we're going to go through the sections in a little more detail. Again, even though we're going to be audio only for some people. But I just wanted to tackle at a high level, things like documenting overall general best practices. We mentioned stages. That's a key one. What are the definitions of these stages? What does hot mean? Because hot to somebody means they want to talk to you, and hot to somebody else means they're pre-approved and they're ready to go do their thing. So getting that congruent, getting your smart list congruent, those expectations, explaining them in a little more detail. Check this one every day. Check this one here. If there's any tags or anything to be removed while they're doing that, notating that there as well. Obviously, as I mentioned before, any automations or marketing, anything that happens automatically, like, hey, they're going to get our newsletter unless you put the new no newsletter tag on or something to that effect. And then again, like we said, just internal deals, pawns. If you have company leads, they differentiated or expected to be done differently or reported differently on or anything to that effect. So just having those best practices in there, it's best to keep it short, but you're also, things are going to come up. People are going to ask questions. People are going to say, oh, that's not in the handbook. And then you're going to want to add it. So for one, we should have mentioned this from the top. Our template is a Google Doc, which you can replicate, but we really recommend doing these in cloud-based platforms because you're always going to update it. There's always going to be, oh, we had a great meeting today and somebody asked this question, or somebody went to the handbook, couldn't find this, so now I need to add it. So using a cloud-based doc where multiple people can potentially edit it or have access to it is also highly recommended.
Absolutely. And I learned that when I first became broker, I learned that lesson the hard way. I was trying to protect us from ourselves. So only certain people had edit rights, but I was sending out PDFs and people were looking, people would save it to their desktop, even though we told them not to. So creating that view only for most and edit for the powers that be, that's going to set your team up for success because they will be well intentioned, but they will save those documents. So you want to train them, always look here, follow this link, bookmark this link, and then make sure it's a live link, because this is something that is ongoing. It's not a set it and forget it scenario. And you want to, it's kind of a push and pull. You don't want it to be so long that it can't be digestible. So have a table of contents. Make sure you can search it if you need to, because you do need to be specific. Not everyone's going to understand a basic description. So we want you to go into as much detail as you can, probably more than you think is necessary. Think if Lee and I read the same book and we went to our book club meeting, we would walk away with two very different interpretations of that book. So this isn't literature. We need to be operating on facts. So include screenshots, use your tools and circle, click here, put this here, be very specific about what you want, particularly if you provide leads to your team. So what follow-up protocols? How many times do you follow up? How many times do you call a new lead? Do you call first or do you text first? What kind of emails can I send? How many people can I send batch emails to at once? You're going to want to provide these specifics because, like I said, everyone comes from different professional backgrounds. Some have no professional experience, so they don't understand the nuances of the professional email culture. So if you want your leads managed in a particular way, if you have a client communication strategy that you want them to stick to, lay that out for them. Give them specifics, make them templates so that you can feel confident. Your ultimate goal is so you feel confident that whoever on your team gets a lead or picks up the phone or receives an email, they're going to know exactly what to do with it. So you're creating your little mini agents in your image. And of course, everyone's going to have their own style. But as much as you want to keep it short, you also need to be very specific. So the more you work on this, and you will work on it, you're going to add to it. So my practice was and still is, even though I have a much smaller team now, it's in threes. So if someone comes to me with a question, hey, Chris, how do I do this? I'm so glad you asked. I answer that person. And then I create an evergreen something, a video, a document, because if that one person has confusion or doesn't know the answer to something, it's highly likely that some, if not everyone else on the team also has the same question. So I'm going to teach that person right then and there, answer their question. And then I'm going to make an evergreen document that I'm going to share out with my team immediately. Hey guys, someone had this question today. Here's the answer in case you have it. And then the third step is to add it to your handbook. Whether it add it via a link or add the whole text, whatever. And that way, you're helping that person, you're helping your whole team, and then you're helping everyone else who onboards with you in the future and providing your existing team a reference point. So yes, you have to slow down and take those few extra steps, but the future you 3 years from now is going to be so glad you did these things.
Yeah, it's really incredibly important. And to your point, Chris, it does take time for adoption. And you have to enforce that adoption. If somebody calls you for something that's in the handbook, you referenced it earlier, Chris, but I just want to say it again. Make sure you tell them, hey, go check the handbook. Like you can't answer it for them and then say, next time check the handbook. You need to enforce that. I I've shared this before, and I probably shouldn't, but in our team, I would actually intentionally, because we had all this set up. We had intranet for this and handbooks. Everybody knew where to find them. They've been trained weekly on them for years. And so I would just intentionally not answer the call sometimes when people would call me, and I call them back in 5 minutes to be like, oh, I found it. I'm like, I know you found it. I know I'm your easy button. But
Yeah.
when 30 people all could need anything at any given moment, your life gets a lot better when you start to train them to, hey, that's in this place with all the things. You don't need to call me to ask me if you can change the stage from lead to hot. Like that's gonna be kind of crazy. And then the other thing that Chris said that I really, really want to lean into, um, it's not might feel condescending to write it this way, but think about you're writing it for somebody new to the business and new to your team.
Mhm.
Um, you can don't assume they know anything. It's better to spell it all out. I'm also a fan. Our template does not have this because I like keeping things short on in these guides. But something too I'm a fan of is like the see more type of concept, where it's like, all right, here's a high level, here's the smart list at a high level. But if you want to see more detail about smart lists, great. That's below. But keeping it bulleted with more detail as they become interested versus it being paragraphs where nobody's
Mhm.
going to read it in the first place.
Yeah, or you could link out, you know, click here for this link, and they
Right.
would be evergreen links. You want to set everything up in the same way. But yeah, I mean, I have a puppy right now. So I'm thinking a lot about conditioning, and it's, it's training them, yes, but, and it's not, I I could see if it's not executed correctly, I could see how it could be a little condescending, you know what I mean, to train them to do something, but view it as you're empowering your people to think for themselves. There was a young man on my team when I was in publishing, actually, and he was always at my door asking me question after question, and I was beginning to feel very overwhelmed. So I said, "So and so, here's a legal pad and a pen, and you have two. You can come to me just before lunch and at 3 o'clock with your list of questions. So write down all your questions or things you want to tell me, and then at 12 o'clock or whatever time I just said, I forgot, come to me and we'll go through them. And then right before the end of the day, I promise I'll help you." And sure enough, he was like, "Oh, I love this plan." I was like, "Yes, me too." So he went away and he came back at the time we agreed on. And I could see, I didn't want to see the paper, that's his paper, but I could see he had written probably 15 questions and he had crossed out 10 of them in the time that it he had to marinate. So you're not holding them at arm's length, you're empowering them, you're allowing them to think for themselves. And that is invaluable resource for your team to allow them the confidence. Hey, I can figure this out on my own. I still feel comfortable going to you for help, but I'm going to sit with this uncomfortable, I don't know what to do feeling for just a minute. And you know what? I'm going to figure out what to do. And that is going to, that's going to serve you way better than your CRM handbook. I'll tell you that. But that's that conditioning. And you have to, it's a boundary. And if you don't execute that and train your people, then this doesn't work. You're going to continue to be the catch-all and whatever. So anyway, I just that's a strategy that definitely worked for me. But let's talk about what's inside our handbook template. And these links are going to be provided to you. There's a link at the top, and it is in blue. It says you cannot edit this template. It's a video on how you can make a copy and make it your own. Um, so Lee talked about this a little bit earlier. We have everything in here from stages to smart lists, automations, marketing. We have your table of contents laid out for you already. And it's important for you to go through all of uh, these contents and elaborate on them as much as you can, because your first version is not you won't even have the same version in a week. You're going to continue building off of this. What do you think, Lee, is you know, the one of the most important things about what we've laid out for them in this template?
Yeah, I think there's a few things. I think number one, the order is very intentional. I think defining the stages first, because that's what power a lot of things. And if you think about it, even as short of a doc as it is, people are going to remember. It's called a recency effect. People are going to remember. Actually, I guess that's primacy technically. But anyway, the earlier stuff they're probably going to remember better
Mm-hmm.
before they start getting more things. Like, okay, now there's a whole bunch of things I don't remember them. But I think getting the stages locked down first, the order to this is very intentional. You're welcome to change it. Um, but to Chris's point, there's a video at the top that shows you how to make a copy that's your own. And the difference of that is then you own it. This is our template. You can make a copy that you own, that you can make any changes in the world that you want. We can't even see it. It's yours. There's a spot to pop in your logo if you want that. The video explains how the table of contents worked and how you can update that. And then towards the bottom, there's a couple of evergreen tips like this. What does this mean when there's a green dot on somebody? It means they're on your website right now. Just little things like that. But yeah, I think, again, and I would recommend if you're editing it or coming up with it to do the same thing, go in that order. Begin at the beginning, focus on your stage definitions,
Mm-hmm.
and then keep, working through the plan.
Yep. And you can make this something that covers your whole company. I included everything in the same manual. And so it included everything from what types. I fulfilled my legal obligations as being broker. I had what type of transactions we did, what type of client relationships were allowed. It was the one place repository for answers there. And then it linked out to a library of how to do other things that weren't sort of the handbook was the rules, and then it would link out to libraries for more how to do certain things, so that it they fed off of each other. But yeah, I would advise, if you don't have any type of handbook, that it's funny, Lee, you and I's stories echo each other so much. But that's, where we started. We were a small brokerage, and I was looking around and I was new, and I was like, there's a lot of rules around here. Is there like a place where they're written down? And everyone was like, no, no, no. And I was like, oh, okay. And then all of a sudden we had a place where things were written down. And so the people on your team are going to be wondering, how the heck am I supposed to remember all this stuff? So please check this document out. We really recommend you making this your own, and we'll show you exactly how to do it.
Yeah, one last thing I'll mention logistically about the doc. Towards the very end, there's an updated column that's right justified. It says date next to it, but that's designed for the date. And the reason for that is what we've talked about, this being an iterative thing. You want to make
Mm-hmm.
sure that you update that date when you update it, because that way, again, I know people aren't necessarily going to come and check it, but that way it's useful for you to at least be able to know, like, hey, this is the most updated version, or, oh, I updated this last month or last week, or somebody else did, if it's
Mm-hmm.
not fully your responsibility. But good to keep that updated, because it's good to kind of have a version like, oh, yeah, this is our July 24 version. It's the most current, because, again, over time, as you make changes and build things, you're going to want to do that. So, but I just noticed that at the bottom, and didn't want to be too super tactical, but did want to mention that. So, and of course, anywhere you're viewing this, there should be links in the description to any of the things we talked about, but obviously specifically this handbook template in this case. So be sure to check that. For some reason you're viewing this somewhere where it's not, you're welcome to leave a comment or visit any of our websites and send us a contact form. We're not that hard to find. But would love to get this shared out with people. Like, it really is something that we built for ourselves internally. Like I said, I actually built it for our team many years ago. And it always kind of evolves. So hopefully, we can give you a leg up with some existing content. To Chris's point, please check everything. It's fairly stock. We don't know your definition of long-term nurture, or don't, not sure what to do with this person, this pond. But hopefully we've given you a really good leg up, at least in starting some of that, where you can modify it rather than stare at a blank piece of paper.
Right. And Lee, I've heard Lee say this before. When you're in real estate, you're probably not a documenter by nature. And that it's crucial if you are planning on growing and expanding your business to any degree. You need, if you've found a way that works, a proven way, help other people do it that way. Make it repeatable so that they know the steps. And if you know what works, keep doing it. Tom Ferry talks about it. Find a play that works and keep doing it until it doesn't work anymore. This is your playbook. So it may go against your nature, but you don't grow by staying comfortable. So get in there, document, and your people will help you make it better over time.
Yeah, one last thing I'll leave people with is, the idea too that, I think a lot of people may hear stuff like this and they're like, that's just another thing. How am I going to do that? How am I going to do that? But the goal, said and done, especially if you're running a team, but also like a boutique or a teamerage style business, this is what helps create a consistent client experience as well. It's not like, I got a great agent, I had a great experience. I got not as good an agent, had a bad experience. It's like, no. Everybody gets this. This is how we operate as a company. And frankly, people joining the team, especially newer ones or newer to the business, they're going to need and want that guidance. And these are the people that are actually going to read this handbook and know what to do when they show up on day one. So again, to Chris's point, this may not be your tendency to document all the things, but we've given you a leg up, and it's also how you create a consistent experience for your clients.
And I'm really glad you said that, because this is something that I still feel strongly about. But if you're advertising in any way, we have the best agents in the area, whatever you're drawing people to you with your marketing. Come to us, we're going to take care of you. You need to make darn sure that whoever answers the phone fulfills that promise. Your weakest agent on your team could ruin your reputation by answering the wrong phone call, So obviously we all have different starting points. Some people might be newer and they need to be coached up, but this is part of that. This is when you're a licensee, you owe a duty. You have a responsibility to protect the public. And if you're in this environment where you're a leader and you're coaching other people, that's part of your responsibility as a licensee, to treat the public a certain way, to do right by them, to protect the public, and providing that consistent client experience that Lee was talking about. That's not just about getting positive reviews and repeat business. That's about protecting people from predatory practices and making mistakes that cost them tens of thousands of dollars. So it's really, I think the common theme of this episode is this has very far-reaching effects, and I hope you take the time to do it. All right, so this concludes the education part. I want to share with you, just literally for 1 minute, a little bit about Amplified Solutions. So who are you? Who's Amplified Solutions? Our clients come to us to either set up or improve systems within their follow-up boss accounts. We help their agents to understand what they need to be doing, how to do it, and why. And then we monitor the leads within their database and how they're worked. So we start by overhauling your system with our proven method. Speaking of scaling and repeating, we know this method works. We use it with all of our clients across North America. And then we train your team and provide you with written handbooks, guides, SOPs, etc. We're setting you up for success. We will write your CRM handbook for you. And then we will hook you up with an account manager. And that person's going to oversee the leads within your account, nudge agents to keep your data integrity high, help you convert more leads into transactions, and send you fantastic reporting and insights every week on who's doing what we've found in your system that can make it better, to continually fine tune things and help you integrate new technologies so that you're using this Ferrari in your garage to win the races and not just go get your groceries. So to find out more, visit our website. We're at amplifiedsolutions.com. You can complete a free assessment on your account. We'll give you an in-depth view of what we see and what we think you could do to improve. And you can also book a call and we can talk about your needs in person. So thanks for being here today. Check out all the links. Reach out to us. We can't wait to learn about your business model and how we can help you. We'll see you next time.